Three, two, one. Yo, bar, what's up and what's happening? Today, we are going to be discussing diabetes. In fact, we're actually going to be doing a diabetes course. So this course is going to run alongside the usual channel, the Yo Bar series and how to lose weight and do it correctly. But these series or these episodes are going to be concentrating on diabetes in particular. Why am I focusing on diabetes? Well, I'm a nutrition coach, but actually my speciality is diabetes. And so I thought that it would be a fantastic opportunity for me as a YouTuber to be able to discuss my experiences with diabetes, but also to help you, if you do suffer with diabetes, to be able to understand your disease better. Now, there's nothing to sign up for. I'm not going to try and sell you anything. All I want you to do is watch these videos, like them, and obviously subscribe to the channel. These videos will be able to help people who suffer with type 2 diabetes and also people who suffer with type 1 diabetes. What's also going to be really cool about this course is the fact that I'm going to be cooking some of the recipes from my recipe book. Now, if you want to go to my website, it's www.adaptiontraining.com/nutrition course. You can pick yourself up a free recipe book. So guys, I hope that you enjoy this diabetes course. And if you don't suffer with diabetes, you can still watch along because there's going to be some absolutely fantastic tips, dietary hacks, and things to help you lose weight, maintain good cholesterol, and also heart health, as well as obviously always fitness and well-being. So guys, remember to like, subscribe, comment below, and enjoy. Okay, play the new intro. Okay guys, so to introduce you into this diabetic course, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down for you 5 or 6 myths which are really easily misconstrued when it comes to diabetes. And I want to go through each one of them in a little bit of detail. But first, I want to give you a little bit of a quick bio on myself. Why would you choose to listen to me? Basically, I'm a nutrition coach and I've been studying nutrition for probably more than 10 years. But one of my specialities is actually diabetes. If you look back at some of my previous videos, you can watch a video about my struggles with anorexia. But actually, that's kind of slightly beside the point. The reason that I studied diabetes is basically because when I started as a personal trainer, I actually realized that quite a few of my clients were diabetic. So alongside me studying for my nutrition qualification, I actually then started to filter a lot of my interest into diabetic health, diabetic foods, and things that would help my clients. I'm proud to say that I've now reversed probably just over 5 or 6 people individually and reversed their diabetes due to their HbA1c reading. And so if you don't know what your HbA1c reading, it's basically a blood test for your hemoglobin. The main thing is that I'm trying to say is that I have actually helped people with their diabetes, and that's a good reason for you to choose to watch this video. So when you're dealing with someone who is diabetic, it is very important to be able to take a few things into account. So the reason that I tell you that is because you obviously want to feel that you're safe with me and that I'm giving you the right information for you to follow. Apart from actually working with clients who have had diabetes and been privileged enough to help them reverse their type 2 diabetes down to a pre-diabetic or actually non-diabetic blood reading, I also have worked with clients over the last 10 years with nutrition and also within the health and fitness industry. I cannot wait to deliver this course to you guys. And if you suffer with diabetes, or you've just been diagnosed with diabetes, or if you've been diagnosed with pre-diabetes, then please watch these courses because I do really feel that they're going to help you massively. So what are you actually going to get from this course? Well, By the end of it, I hope that you understand your diabetes better. I'll explain type 2 diabetes and I'll also explain type 1 diabetes, as they are very different things. They're very separate diseases. The way in which I plan to present this course is basically to try and break it down for you, make it as simple as possible so that you can apply that information really quickly into your diet and feel comfortable about doing so. Now, if you live over here in the UK, then we have a health service called the NHS, and the NHS will be providing people with diabetes with either instructions such as pamphlets and also meetings. There are also drugs such as metformin, which basically help to reduce the effects of diabetes. And then lastly, what happens if your diabetes gets worse, then you do have to go on to the hormone, which is insulin. So what does your background have to be like? Well, basically, you do not need to have any pre-diabetic knowledge. You might have none whatsoever, and that you're looking for some help, some guidance. You might have had diabetes for years and just relied on the medication to be able to help suppress the effects of diabetes. You might have tried your best to be able to exercise and eat healthy, but still you are suffering with diabetes. Now, my aim is to not necessarily reverse your diabetes, because I think that's quite a broad label to be able to brand this video course with. What I do want to do is I want to be able to help you improve your health, improve your fitness, and also improve your diet. And within time, what I'm hoping for is that it does help your hemoglobin or your blood sugar level count to be able to go down, and that has a better reading. Perhaps you might get to the point where you can say that you're taking maybe less medication, or that you have to have a medication review. And those things I will be bringing up in this course as we go along. So guys, if you suffer from diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes, what we're going to do for you is we're going to debunk 5 myths that people suffer with when it comes to diabetes. These diabetes myths can actually be rather deadly, and actually they are keeping you sick and also unhealthy. And the worst thing is that you're actually relying on medication to be able to control the problem. Obviously, if you're suffering with type 1 diabetes, that's a slightly different subject, but people who have type 2 diabetes, there is a possibility for you to reverse your diabetes, or there's a possibility to at least address the amount of medication that you're on. At least we can look at improving your lifestyle. So, as I said before, this course is completely free, and the course is going to be set up in a structure or a system for you to be able to follow. And the foundation of that system is going to be based around a few things. One of them is going to be obviously your nutrition. The other one is going to be based around your exercise. And finally, what you're going to find out is very simplistic strategies in how to deal with your diabetes, and also in general just to how to deal with nutrition. So what is the end result for you once you've watched this series? The end result for you basically is that we're trying to look for better blood sugar levels and a reduction in the effects of type 2 diabetes. People who suffer with type 1 diabetes, I hope that some of the things that are addressed here can actually help you. If you have erratic insulin levels, or you have erratic blood sugar levels, then I do hope that some of the recipes, the ideas, the way in which to address your diabetes does actually help you. But this course is going to be focused on people with type 2 diabetes, because type 2 diabetes is based around lifestyle. Type 1 diabetes is for those people who are unfortunately born with or develop type 1 diabetes throughout their life. If you apply the information that I give to you over 30 to 60 days, you will 100% notice a very remarkable change in your diabetes. If you can follow this course, subscribe to the channel, and also obviously watch out for the videos when I release a video on this diabetes course. what you'll find is that you can improve your diabetes, whether you're type 1 or type 2, within 30 to 60 days, as long as you follow the structure in which I'm going to give you. So, myth number 1, does diabetes run in the family? This, unfortunately, is a yes and also a no answer. Yes, diabetes does run in your family. Your genes do have a role to play in your disease. What does that actually mean? Well, if people such as your grandparents, your close family members, your parents, your siblings, if they happen to have diabetes, then there could be a possibility that you develop type 2 diabetes somewhere down the line. But a lot of it is actually dependent on your lifestyle. So a lot of people say to me when I've got clients, Chris, I've developed type 2 diabetes, or they've come to me because they've developed diabetes. And one of their first questions is, so clients come to me with diabetes and they basically say that, well, diabetes runs in my family, so I'm more than likely to get it. And there is obviously some truth in that. There is a possibility that you could develop diabetes quite easily in later life, but also I have seen clients who've developed diabetes in their mid-30s. However, what I would argue is that most of the time, diabetes, especially obviously type 2 diabetes, is developed more from lifestyle. The lifestyle that you choose to live is the one that's actually going to hinder you and actually then going to create a type 2 diabetes scenario. This basically means that it's not necessarily your genetics that play a complete role within this disease. So your lifestyle is definitely something that is going to be the main factor. And actually your lifestyle is going to be the main factor in how you're going to reverse or at least better your type 2 diabetes. Now, obviously, I don't know your family history and I don't know how you live with your family. You may not even necessarily live with your family, but what I can say is that the habits that you pick up from people who are around you often tend to be a lot to do with this disease. These habits and lifestyle choices that may actually be picked up from a family environment will, of course, play a much, much bigger role in developing type 2 diabetes rather than just blaming the diabetes on your genetics. What does this actually mean? Well, it means that you don't actually have to suffer. If you're in an environment, whether it's in your family or whether it's just a social environment, and you choose to eat bad food, you choose to live a poorer lifestyle, or you don't even realize that you're eating bad food and that you're living a poorer lifestyle, it is actually something that you can easily start to tackle straight away. What I'm saying is that your lifestyle habits are actually inherited from your family or possibly just your living conditions. No one's blaming anybody. It's pretty much up to you how you choose to live your life, but it's more likely that you have inherited bad traits and bad habits. So let's just break that down for a second. Basically, what I'm saying is that your habits, your lifestyle habits, which are more than likely to be adopted from a family situation, are actually things that are causing or creating and continuing the type 2 diabetes. But I'm going to break that down into 4 things for you. So what are those 4 things? They are your nutrition and what you choose to eat. They are specific to exercise or how much you exercise. Also, what plays a big role in this is the sleep and the quality of sleep you have. And fourthly, also what is important to be able to recognize is the fact that you have stress. Stress and diabetes go hand in hand together. So if we can learn to be able to help control stress, manage stress better, then we're actually going to help control the type 2 diabetes. So myth number 1, how do we debunk it? Basically, we're going to debunk this myth by saying that it is possible to develop type 2 diabetes through your genetics and also through your family. If your family suffer with diabetes, it is likely that you could also develop type 2 diabetes. However, it also means that you have probably inherited habits or eating habits through your family members or your social circle, your friends or the people that you live with. And this has had a negative impact or a negative effect on you, which has given you type 2 diabetes. However, you are in complete control of what you choose to do. You're in complete control of your habits. And slowly but surely, you can actually start to change these things. And that basically will debunk the first myth. Myth number 2, must you take drugs to be able to control your diabetes? Okay, so once you have been diagnosed with diabetes, whether you have type 1 or type 2 diabetes, there are quite a few things that happen. But one of the main things that happen with diabetes is that you have high and you have low blood sugars. Hyperglycemia is when you have too much sugar in the blood. Hypoglycemia is when you have too little sugar in the blood. Now, with people who have type 2 diabetes, it's usually because they are creating insulin in the body via the pancreas, but what's happening is the body isn't actually picking up that insulin. They basically become insulin resistant, or there just isn't enough insulin to be able to cope with the amount of sugar that's inside the body at that time. People who suffer with type 1 diabetes, it's slightly different. Actually, what's happening inside the pancreas is that the enzymes that go to creating insulin are being attacked by the immune system. So inside the pancreas, you have enzymes, and those enzymes are being attacked by the immune system. And therefore, those enzymes are being destroyed. And those are the enzymes which go to make insulin. So the pancreas isn't really even making insulin. And so there just isn't enough insulin for people who have type 1, which is why type 1 is quite difficult to be able to control. And it has to be controlled with insulin because the body just isn't making it. However, people who have type 2 diabetes, they do actually have the ability to make insulin. It's just that the amount of insulin that they're producing is either isn't being recognized in the body, and so therefore the blood sugar is going higher and higher or going lower and lower, depending whether you're having a hyper or a hypo, or that there just isn't enough insulin being created by the pancreas at that time. Again, that's all completely related to lifestyle habits. So the myth is, must you take drugs to be able to control your diabetes? Well, if you've just been diagnosed with diabetes type 2, then they will offer you different types of solutions, drug solutions, to be able to help control the diabetes. Now, I'm not in a position to be able to say, no, don't take any diabetes medication. That's not my place. What I would say is that if your doctor or a diabetic nurse has suggested that you take medication because they think it's the best thing for you to do, then it probably is the best thing for you to do. However, once you're on that diabetic medication, it's going to be quite difficult to come away from it because they are going to see it as something where you're actually going to benefit by taking it. So they're actually not really going to want to take you off of that drug because in their eyes, it's something that they can keep you on that actually controls your diabetes. The question you want to ask yourself is, do you want to be on medication at all, or do you want to be able to reverse the effects of diabetes through your own choices? So with type 2 diabetes, we actually have choice. We actually have an opportunity to control. So to debunk this myth, do you need to control your diabetes with medication? The answer is, again, yes and no. You can choose to use medication to control your diabetes, and you can also choose to be able to improve your habits, your lifestyle, the foods that you eat, and the exercise that you take to be able to help improve your diabetes. One thing that I would say when I've been working with clients is that when they've been newly diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I've actually said to them, let's have a 3-month window before we start taking the medication. Basically, if you can have a period of time and you need to ask your doctor, your GP, or the diabetic nurse whether you can actually have some time to be able to help your diabetes, then this is actually going to be very, very beneficial for you. Yes, medication is definitely going to be the easiest way to be able to control your blood sugar. But is it actually going to be efficient for you? Can you actually change your diabetes through your diet and your habitual lifestyle? When I've been dealing, so let's do that again, Chris, just keep going, just keep rolling with it. When I have been working with clients and they've been pre-diagnosed with diabetes, so they're pre-diabetic or they are within a when I have worked with clients and they are pre-diabetic or they're newly diagnosed as being diabetic, what I often ask them to do is to book in with their diabetic nurse or their doctor and to basically ask them if it's possible, if they can have a 3-month window for them to be able to work on their diabetes and see whether they can at least lower their blood sugar through the exercise and diet that they actually need to take. And quite often, well, at least over here in the UK, doctors and nurses tend to be quite reasonable with that suggestion. So it's definitely something that you can do. Do you need to be on diabetic medicine? Possibly yes, possibly no. You need to follow the advice that you've been given by your doctor or your nurse, but you also need to take into account that you can actually control this disease by changing habits and changing your lifestyle. And that's exactly what this course is here to do. It's here to help you be able to change those things, be able to improve your habitual lifestyle and also your lifestyle in general so that you can have a healthier overall well-being. Diabetes myth number 2. Diabetes myth number 3. Do you need to have an incredibly strict diet to be able to control your diabetes? No. Obviously, as we go along with this course, I'm going to make suggestions to you that hopefully will improve your diet. But do you need to drastically change your diet, or do you drastically need to be able to change your food? Not necessarily, no. It depends on what type of habits and foods you choose to eat. However, what I would say is there's probably going to have to be some things that you're going to need to review. There's going to be some things that you possibly need to stop. And there's also going to have to be a reflective mode where you're going to look at the food that you're choosing and the lifestyle that you're choosing to live and say, actually, yeah, I do need to be able to control those things a little bit better so that my type 2 diabetes doesn't completely go out of whack. Most people think that diabetes means that you're going to have a very highly quality controlled diet where you are going to have to drastically reduce the calories that you eat. You're going to have to become a vegan. You're going to have to do intermittent fasting. Those things don't necessarily work for every single individual. Would I say that intermittent fasting works for everyone? No. Does it work for some people? Yes, it does. Does it help them does it help them create a habit for their diabetes through something such as intermittent fasting? Possibly it does. There's all sorts of different things, but let's just stick to the main principles here. You don't have to drastically change your diet, but you will have to address your dietary habits and the foods that you choose to eat. And we also need to make sure that we're not under-consuming. We're not going to under-consume the amount of calories that we need because our body still needs that energy. But what we need to do is we need to potentially replace some foods with others that are better choices. For example, if you drastically reduce the amount of carbohydrate that you ate too low, it's going to obviously have an effect on your body and you're going to feel pretty shit, to be completely honest with you. But what we do want to do is when we say we want to have carbohydrate within our diet, but are we having too much processed carbohydrate in our diet? That's definitely something that we need to look at when we're going through this course. And obviously, I'm here to be able to help you do that and be able to deliver something that you can go away and use. One thing that I will say that possibly will help you is that I don't want you to think of yourself ever as being on a diet. Diets just don't work. What we want to do is we want to be able to help create a lifestyle for you. You're going to be able to implement some of the things that I'm going to teach in this course so that it improves your diabetes, but it also improves your lifestyle. It improves how you feel. It helps to improve your fitness. It helps to improve your well-being. What do I mean by well-being? Well, what I mean is, do you suffer from colds a lot? Do you feel like you get run down? Do you feel like you get stressed very easily over something that actually can be managed better? A lot of that stuff is actually based on the food that we eat. And if we do improve those things, we're actually going to improve ourselves overall, but mainly we're going to improve the diabetes alongside that. And obviously a side benefit from that is that if you're going to improve the food that you eat, you improve some of your exercise routine, you're also going to lose weight. So let's debunk myth number 3. Do you need to radically change your diet, or do you need to have a very controlled diet? No, not necessarily, but you do need to be able to make some changes. Diabetic myth number 4. You must exercise rigorously every single day to be able to control your diabetes. One thing that I find with diabetic clients, and I have a couple of clients in particular who do this, is they exercise almost to complete exhaustion because they feel that by exercising rigorously, it's actually going to benefit the diabetes. It's actually going to stop the diabetes. And that's actually far from the truth. If you exercise, the only thing exercise is really going to do is it's going to make you stronger, and it's actually going to make you fitter. And yes, there is some calorie burn there, but it's not actually going to improve your diabetes. What's actually going to improve your diabetes is overall movement. If you move very infrequently throughout the day, that's basically just not going to help you whatsoever. You need to be able to walk instead of take the lift or take the elevator. And perhaps if you live close enough, you can cycle to work. A lot of stuff that's happened since COVID-19 is that people are staying at home a lot more. They're working from home. Therefore, you need to be able to go out and go for a walk after work, before work, go for a jog, go for a run. But does it mean that you actually need to exhaust yourself with exercise? No, of course it's not. In fact, what I would say is that you should be getting some cardiovascular exercise maybe 2 to 3 times a week, or possibly 20 minutes, half an hour. But at the same time, what you should be doing is you should be lifting some resistance as well, keeping yourself strong, keeping your muscles toned. Having muscle tone is actually going to help you in the long run, not only with your diabetes, but it's also going to help with your metabolism. It's also going to help your metabolism burn higher, which is then going to mean that you're going to burn more calories in doing so. By exercising, what is going to happen is it's going to regulate your blood sugars and your insulin levels a little bit better. So, do you have to exercise to complete exhaustion to be able to control your diabetes? Or do you need to exercise to the point where you're doing it rigorously every single day? No, absolutely not. I don't think that's right. But what I do believe is that exercise should be a healthy part, a healthy habit within your weekly routine. One thing I will say is it's all very good walking around, but actually walking is slightly underrated. You do need to definitely elevate your heart rate at least 2 to 3 times a week. It doesn't have to be running. It could be doing a fitness class. It doesn't have to be doing a fitness class. It could be going out hiking where you're doing something which is a little bit more challenging rather than just walking across a field or a flat piece of ground. Walking is good, but walking is slightly underrated. I believe that you should 2 to 3 times a week up that heart rate of yours, get yourself out of breath. Do you necessarily need to do a HIIT class inside your living room? No, because you might feel a complete dick when you're doing it. But if that is something that you actually do and you put in an old videotape of someone doing a fitness class and that's the thing that you like to do and that gets your heart rate up and that gets you out of breath, then crack on. But what I would suggest is that you definitely get your heart rate up. You look at doing a little bit of resistance work, even if it's body weight things like doing burpees, press ups. Maybe you get a few dumbbells. Maybe you get a kettlebell. There's a hell of a lot of kettlebell exercises out there, but actually would benefit you just in your overall body structure, your body strength. However, on the contrary, you might say to me, Chris, I don't want to go to a gym, or Chris, I feel self-conscious when I go to a class, or actually I'm not able to do the things that you've just suggested. That's absolutely fine. If there's something that you can find, such as going for a slightly longer walk that actually does get you out of breath, or that you just walk slightly faster on purpose to get yourself out of breath, or you go for a very small jog, or you do something in the house such as hoovering or climbing the stairs that's actually going to get you slightly more out of breath, then that is absolutely fine. But what you must make sure is that you are trying to make yourself work slightly harder within your day. Move more, try and do more, do some resistance, and also get your heart rate up. So myth number 4 debunked. You do not need to exercise to exhaustion to be able to help control your diabetes. Diabetic myth number 5. Is fat bad for your health? No, it's not. Okay, so this is probably one of the worst myths, that fat's actually bad for your health. Where this basically comes from is a very long story between you and media or food marketing, basically. Food marketing is basically convinced everyone that fat is a dreadful thing to have in your diet and you should definitely stay away from all types of fat. And most of that is completely untrue. The reason being is that people, such as food companies, want to sell their product to you, and that they're trying to sell you a dietary version of that product to try and make you buy it because you think that that's the best thing for you. You might even think that fat is actually responsible for upping your cholesterol or increasing your chance of heart disease. And unfortunately, that just isn't true. Actually, what's more likely to do that is processed foods, and in particular, processed carbohydrates, such as things that have refined sugar in them. How do we know this to be true? Well, we know this to be true because since the 1980s, food marketing has been marketed to you a lot more aggressively, which has basically meant that we've seen a vast rise in the number of people who are suffering with cancer, autoimmune diseases, metabolic related diseases such as diabetes. These things have become a lot more prevalent and a lot more disastrous for us as humans, basically. So we know that there's something that's changed. And the number one thing that has changed is the way in which you are fed food, basically how food is marketed to you. And the other thing is how you perceive food to be, and actually the lack of knowledge that you have around food, or the lack of knowledge you have around general basic nutrition. Most people, in my opinion, are starved of it. In fact, fats are incredibly good for you. However, obviously, there are some fats that you need to look out for. Things such as vegetable oils, palm oil, and also soy oil, just to name a few. If you see any processed food that you buy and it's got any of these ingredients, then I would recommend staying away from it. The reason being is that they're just not as good a quality of oil. They don't contain as much essential oils or fatty acids or basically omegas that the body needs. The body needs omegas to be able to function properly, and these oils do not provide the body with those things. But other than that, fats are actually a essential macronutrient in your diet, and definitely should be something that should be consumed, and not to be something that should be avoided and replaced with something like an artificial sugar or an artificial whatever. We need fat within our diet to be able to help control many, many different aspects of just normal human function. So what I suggest is that you stop demonizing fat as a bad macronutrient. It isn't bad. It's just being publicized to you as bad. So fats that you want to be able to consume within your diet are fats such as olive oil or extra virgin olive oil. You also want to be able to look at things such as coconut oil, which has basically been labeled as a superfood. Again, is that marketing? I'm not quite sure. Other things that you can consider are things such as avocado and things such as nuts, cashews, peanuts. They're all things that contain really fantastic types of oils and omegas within them. Also fish and also meat has actually got great amounts of saturated and unsaturated fat. And actually both of those, saturated and unsaturated fat, are critical for our body. Fat also helps control the amount of insulin inside your body at any given time because it acts as a buffer, so it doesn't allow insulin to spike quite so high. And also, if you're consuming fat, then you're also going to be able to control your blood sugar levels and potentially consume less processed carbohydrate or fast-acting carbohydrates, such as carbohydrate that has sugar within it. And if you're type 2 diabetic, that's actually going to help control your diabetes overall. So fat is a fantastic macronutrient that you definitely need to employ. So myth number 5, are fats bad for you? Not at all. So that's all 5 myths. And basically the 5 myths give us quite a decent beginning to this course. This course is going to be here to help you take back control of your diabetes and also help to manage your diabetes, whether it's type 1 or if it's diabetes type 2. So that's those 5 diabetic myths debunked. And actually what they tell us is that we need to be able to take back control. Do we need to exercise till we're exhausted? No. Do we need to rely on medication? Not necessarily. Do we need to drastically change our food intake? To some degree, maybe yes. To other degrees, no. Is it necessarily somebody else's fault, or is it up to us to be able to make those changes? And that's exactly what this course is here to do. This course, is here to be able to help you regain control of your diabetes, whether it's diabetes type 1, and you can take some things on the course to help improve your diabetes if you're struggling with it, and diabetes type 2. If you're not managing your diabetes type 2, if you've just been diagnosed as a pre-diabetic, if you are a diabetic who's been suffering with diabetes for a few months, a few years, can you take back control? Absolutely. Of course you can. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also hope you're looking forward to finding out more about your diabetes as you go through this course. What I want you to do is follow this course and give yourself between 30 to 60 days to help improve or even reverse the effects of your diabetes. Obviously, you need to trust me, and you also need to trust the program. What I will need you to do is I need you to apply the things that I teach you, so that you can actually start to see results and also implement the habits that I try to reinforce throughout this course. I hope you guys are ready to take a deeper dive into your diabetes, and I also hope that this diabetic course helps you. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also comment on the video below. It really does help the YouTube algorithm. Also remember to look out for the diabetic friendly meals that are going to be uploaded to this channel. Guys, you've been absolutely fantastic, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Be fit, be healthy, and of course, be a boss man.
It's the Yo Bossy Week. It's the Yo Series.